Welcome to the Mentor Studio, where today's thought leaders and leading entrepreneurs inspire and bring real-world ideas that help you take your career to levels you've only dreamed of. Now buckle in. Here's your host, Michael Silvers.
Welcome, everyone. Jonathan Trowan here with the Mentor Studio podcast. We are here with what an amazing human being, Vanessa Raymond. She is a confidence and success coach, an author, a speaker. She has a whole history of performing around the world. I can't wait to dive into this. Welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So give us a little background, because you didn't start off as a confidence and success coach, although there was a lot of success in your world. So give us a little background on what was going on before you made this transition.
Yes. As most of us do, we go through so much in our lives, and that brings us to where we are. So I started out, I was born and raised in South Africa, grew up with a very supportive family, had an artistic grandmother and father, which launched me into loving the performing arts. I started ballet when I was 3 years old. And whenever anybody asked me, what do you want to do when you grow up? I'd be like, I want to be a dancer. And of course, the response would be, no, really, what do you want to do to earn money? Like a real job, right? So I did continue through my life, took all dance forms, got singing lessons, did the acting, did the whole katoot, and ended up going to college and majoring in musical theater, which was really a dream come true for me. However, where I grew up, again, it wasn't really thought of as a real job or a real career, which was fabulous because I did make it work, and I did end up performing for years, and that was my ticket to the United States, where I live now. But I've always had a lot of interests. So while I was performing initially too, I did have that plan B. So I did also get qualified as an esthetician and cosmetologist, which was kind of my other fun thing that I was passionate about. And after performing around the world for years, I won't go into details because it's a long story, but after performing for years, I also made a transition into the fitness industry, which was also kind of a natural progression for me as a dancer to become a Pilates and a yoga instructor, which led to everything else. And, now all of that experience, the experiences that I've had in the performance industry, the experiences that I've had in the beauty industry and the fitness industry led me to what I do now, helping entrepreneurs, speakers, and leaders to step into their powerful selves with confidence so they can grow successful businesses.
So what is that link there? What about performing? What about that combination of yoga and Pilates? What do you bring from that world into the confidence and success world?
Yes, so there's so many amazing stories that I love to tell. The thing is, the performance industry, as a child growing up in the performance industry, was a confidence building experience. You go, you perform, you get applause, you get people who praise you. But then also, I was a very big fish in a small pond, right? And then you step into the professional world of performance, and it is soul crushing because it's hard. It's not an easy life. And there's a lot of people that criticize. I mean, there's a lot of criticism around being in that industry, as well as it's quite a superficial world where everything surrounds the outward appearance and, the how high you can kick your leg or how high you can sing that note. Or it's a very different world where I experienced a lot of disappointment and a lot of rejection, as well as the successes, of course. But the big lesson for me was growing up as a performer, as a dancer specifically, teaches you amazing skills, teaches you discipline, tenacity, how to get up when you are falling down, and every time to just brush off the dust and keep going. It's about always showing up, always being the very best you. Also, the biggest lesson, I think you and I talked about this last time, that I learned through this experience, through all the rejections, going from audition to audition, hearing no, and then, having the yeses, and experiencing those ups and downs, learning about the fact that that is all subjective, and that for us to internalize all the negatives that come our way is not the way to be successful, but for us to understand that there's opportunities everywhere, and where one gets turned down, when one door closes, another opens. And through having a positive attitude, being reliable, being that person that is positive and showing up with good energy, is really where my successes came from. Not so much the skills. We all have to be well educated. We all have to know what we do. We all have to study our craft. But in the end, I learned that my successes not only came from me being good at what I do, but really the attitude and the energy that I showed up with. And then, working with clients in the gym, seeing how that physical work, the work of working with your body and understanding posture and alignment and movement, and how it affects our mental emotional state, that all was such a great learning experience for me, as far as helping clients feel powerful and feel confident and feel good in their skin, regardless of, what they might initially think are the things that should offer them that confidence. So, and then of course the beauty industry.
So I want to jump in here, because I don't want to gloss over what you said about you can have all the skills in the world, but it's the attitude and the energy,
Right.
that figuring out how to hone in those two key areas, that's the key ingredient to success. Because lots of people have skills. Lots of people watching this have great skills, and they're trying to figure out how to do it. So how do we, especially, if there is a lot of people around us who are saying no, and that's not a good idea, and that kind of stuff, there's a lot of rejection. How do we maintain the attitude, and how do we manage our energy so that we can keep showing up that way?
Wonderful question, Jonathan. And this is my wheelhouse. This is what I get excited about. Just to add to that, and it doesn't matter, you guys, if you're out there listening, you hear me talking about the performance industry, this counts anywhere. Where you're going for a job interview, you're going to network at an event, or you are meeting with a prospective client. No matter what it is, your energy is your frequency. It is how people perceive you, how they feel you, how they experience you. And what we forget is that we are in total control of that. Nobody else is in control of that but us. And when you take that power into your hands, it is so empowering to know that all you have to do is make the decision and make the choice. The thing that happens with most of us is that we are in robotic mode. We are just grinding away. We are doing our day to day, and we're not aware. So my goal is to really raise the awareness around how much control you do have of that energy that you project. We all have bad days. We all have good days and bad days. We all have unforeseen things happen in our lives. So good question, Jonathan. How do you manage that? When you understand the connection between your body, your mind, your mental, emotional state, it's the empowering part for me. And that is where my focus is. You can mindset yourself to death, but if you don't have action that coincides with that mindset, it's not really going to come to its full fruition. So what I do with my clients is there's various principles that I share. But two of my favorite things I'll share here, because I know we don't have all day, is number one, you need to train your brain to understand that you are in charge. In other words, you have to start implementing habits in your daily life that tells your brain that you are accountable to yourself, that you trust yourself, that you believe yourself, that if you say to yourself, you're going to do this thing, you're going to do this thing. Our brains are fascinating, and we can teach it how to serve us best. And one of the first things I do with my clients is I say, implement one morning ritual that you literally stand by and you do every day. It does not have to be anything huge. It can be something as small as drinking a glass of lemon water when you wake up because you know it's good for you, right? Or what is it, 15 minutes of yoga, or I don't know, reading 2 paragraphs out of a self-help book, but that teaches your brain that, wow, you made a promise to yourself and you're keeping that promise. So, wow, if you can do that, you can do anything, right? It's amazing, the power of just consistency.
So what's your morning ritual?
You're going to laugh because, I have children, so it is an interesting thing. But I always make sure I wake up a good 30 minutes before I need to wake up my children for school. And the first thing I do is I do not pick up my phone first thing in the morning. So, I'll get up, I'll go brush my teeth. That's like number one. And I love to just sit in front of the mirror and do my makeup because, and that's a funny thing because people say to me, really? For me, makeup isn't about looking my best as such. Yes, it helps me. It helps me feel good. But to me, it's a creative process, and it's time when I can think about what I have going on in the day. So I will do my makeup and I will basically meditate or visualize while I'm doing my makeup what my day is going to look like. Sometimes that includes opening my calendar and just having a quick squiz at my schedule and going, okay, this is what I have going on today. And then I'll start doing my face. And that is where I go in my head over how I'd like things to be. And I'm also then, when I'm done with my makeup, I'm clear about my day. I know that I'm organized, right? So I feel organized and ready for my day. And then I go wake up my children and get them ready for school. I work out around lunchtime, so that's why I don't do, because I teach lunchtime classes, so that's why I don't do morning workouts. But that is my simple morning ritual, that one thing. Now, there's other things I do. I love to listen to meditations. That I'll do 2 to 3 times a week. I have, meditations short meditation, like I'll listen to a 10-minute meditation before I actually get up out of bed. That's my other favorite thing. So these are 2 things that I enjoy.
I really love that story, or that ritual, that system of putting on your makeup is your mindfulness, your meditation practice. Because a lot of us think, oh, you have to meditate every day. Yeah, you do somehow, right? But even people like Thich Nhat Hanh teach, everything you do is an opportunity. And he talks about washing dishes as a meditation and things like that. And people think, well, I have to sit there for 15 minutes and be really frustrated until the alarm goes off.
Right.
But that is so powerful that you take something that you want to do anyway, and for you, putting on your makeup, and that is your mindfulness practice to set yourself up for the day. That's
Right.
really powerful.
Thank you. Yes. And, it's funny because that brought me back to a thought. My contemporary teacher in college, this is just like that same mindset. She's like, you should always be stretching. When you're brushing your teeth, your foot's on the toilet. When you're reading your book, you're lying on the bed with your legs, whatever. So I guess, I'm not a great proponent in business of multitasking at all. I do not suggest that. It's not a good idea. But, for me, I'm an artist. Putting on my makeup is something that I enjoy doing. It's something I love doing. And if I can at the same time think about my day and get my head in the right space and organized, for me, that's a win-win. So yes, absolutely. We can take our everyday tasks and by just being aware and being more mindful, turn them into something that serve us as opposed to something we're frustrated with.
Yeah, I got to put on my makeup and race around. Yeah, I love that. All right. So you said two things. So we have a ritual. So you have to create a ritual. It can be something new, the lemon water, or something you're already doing that you ritualize. All right. So what's number two?
Number two is the power of posture and body language. We underestimate the power of our bodies with regards to our mindset. Now, we all know, we've all heard of people who run and they love running because the endorphins, right? They talk about the runner's high. And we all know that exercise energizes us because of the same reason. But most people don't realize that simply standing up straight, really correcting your posture consciously, does the same thing. There's been studies done, and this includes facial expressions, right? So by simply smiling, even if you don't feel like smiling, for 2 minutes and standing up straight in what we call a power posture. Now, most of us are familiar with power poses. We know about the Superwoman pose or the Superman pose or the victory pose, right? Those are all known as power poses. But what power posture means is it's open, it's aligned, it's tall, it's strong, it's confident. By putting your body into that position, that confident, strong, here I am day, here I come, I have a smile on my face, even if you're not feeling it, you can change the way you feel. Because there's been studies done, we're going to go through it, but if you hold a smile and a power posture for 2 minutes, you have increased, this has been proven, the testosterone levels, which is our power hormone in your brain, for up to 15 to 20%, and decreasing cortisol, which is our stress hormone, 15 to 20%, right? This has been tested and proven. When you realize and recognize that, and that's also the power of doing that yoga first thing in the morning, or getting up and getting a little cardio, going for a walk, that's what happens. We are adjusting the chemical compound of the hormones that run our life in our brain. And so posture and body language is a big part of what I teach, because if you understand the power of that, and again, it's conditioning your brain. It's like that Pavlov's dogs thing, right? In the beginning, it might not work as fast or as effectively, but the more you do it, the more you teach your brain these principles. The moment you take that deep breath, you open your chest, you stand tall, you align the meridians, the hormones adjust and the way you feel changes. Pretty powerful.
I want to get back to something you said. The question keeps popping into my head, so I have to honor that, right?
Yes.
You spoke about, not letting the people's negative words affect you, right? That it comes from the inside. And you also spoke about the applause, right? That happened. That make you feel good.
Yes.
Do we have to separate both? Like, are we allowed to take in the applause, but we have to let the negative out? Or do we kind of have to figure out how to separate all of it? It all comes from in here. They're applying, they're giving you applause. It's not about you either. It's about them. If it's negative, it's not about. So I'm trying to figure out that separation between that outer feedback, both positive and negative, versus the inner feedback of that power position that we get. That's from the inside, that testosterone and these rituals. Does the question make sense?
Yes, it totally makes sense. And it's complicated because and really it comes down to knowledge again. A lot of things in life we learn as we go along. And so my goal is to make these things common knowledge much earlier in life for more people, so that we don't have to learn the lessons the hard way, right? But when we really just think about it, if someone says to you, hey, that negative comment that you got, I know I told you the story about the thighs, right? Should I share
Yeah, but
that?
no one else has heard it, so share.
Okay. Okay, I'll quickly share that story. So I went to this audition. I was young, impressionable, fresh out of college, already did one. I think I had my first professional show. And then I went to this audition because this was a gig that everyone in South Africa wanted. There were only 3 spots available for 3 girls. They were going through a changeover of casting. And I went to this audition. It was for Sun City, South Africa. It was for Big Extravaganza. And I went to this audition and it felt really good. I knew I had done great that day. You just know, you feel it. So you go home and you wait for the phone call. The phone call came a few days later. I picked up the phone. On the other end of the phone, the director, he said to me, Vanessa, you danced circles around the other girls, but you got to get rid of those thighs. Okay. So yeah, as a young, impressionable artist, the first thing I think is, oh my God, I'm a failure. My thighs are huge. I'm never going to get a job again. This is terrible, right? I ended up getting the job because the girl that was above me, she turned it down. So I ended up with the job anyway. But in that moment, or that few weeks that it took for me to actually learn that I did now get the job, that all those things go through your head. It's not, oh, this guy thought my thighs were too big. No, it's my thighs are huge. I'm never going to get a job again. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. But if I understood in that moment that this is subjective, they're looking for something specific. And even though I might not fit that mold, I'd be great for other things, right? We put everything in that one basket and we let it explode and take over our life and our confidence and crush us. And so when you have a mentor and you have a coach, or you have someone who can share these things with you and enlighten you and go, you know what, maybe that is not the correct opportunity for you. And it's not because you're not good at what you do. I chose to not hear how you danced circles around the other girls, but I heard you got to get rid of those thighs, right? So our brains are also very selective, and we naturally, that bad thing is what hits us. We forget to look at the big picture. And so I guess the message here is that, yes, we need to accept the good, and we need to accept it graciously, and we need to internalize it and go, yes, that was for me. That person wouldn't have said it if they didn't mean it. We can say as much as we want. We don't care what other people say, but we do. We all do. The secret is that we need to know who to trust and who's just expressing. And I think the point I want to get to is, quite often, well, the one side is that either they're looking for something very specific and you don't fit that mold, or quite often when people have negative feedback, or there's something negative that someone says to you, it's usually their problem, not yours. It's usually them mirroring their feelings or their insecurities onto you because they don't know how else to express that thing. And as we grow older and wiser, we learn and we recognize these things, and we recognize that there are certain role models in our life that we listen to, and we know that whatever feedback they give us is constructive, and that is for us to build and grow. And we learn that the others are just people saying things without thinking, and it's not a personal thing. It's usually them projecting their insecurities onto us. I don't even know if I really answered your question.
It's okay. No, you did. So when we're in that moment, so we have the rituals we can do on a daily basis, and we have our power stances. In that moment, when we get that feedback that just throws us, your thighs are too big, whatever it is for us, right? Yeah. Is there something we do in that moment so that it doesn't take us over?
Yes. And it is about that response is going to happen because that's something that our brains do. So I also teach some breathing techniques. Breath is huge. Really calming the nervous system is a big thing, because what happens immediately when those things happen to us is our nerves, our nervous system, our neural pathways kick into that mode of, okay, being defeated. It's about taking a moment. Instead of reacting, we take a moment, we step back, we take a deep breath, we posture ourselves, and we think, right? Because normally when we react, we don't think. So it's about stepping back and going, okay, what was that actually? And do I take this personally or don't I? And normally the answer is no, if you take a minute. So it's a few seconds. It's not even a big amount of time. It can be as short as 1 to 3 seconds, whereas you, instead of reacting immediately, just take that deep breath and go, okay, what was that? Assess it before you just react to it.
And it's such a powerful question. Do I want to take this personally or not? Just asking the question then gives you permission to go, okay, sure, I will, or to choose, you know what? No, not this one. Right?
Yes. Those
Really
things
powerful.
that do affect. I mean, there's always going to be stuff, right? There's certain things, and I'm not saying squash things, don't deal with them. If you're going to have to process it at some point.
This is like real life. We all get bent out of shape. Like what's gonna happen? Hey, this is real life, right? And we either freak out about it or we do what Vanessa says and take a step back, take that deep breath, right?
Yeah, it's all okay.
So I have one more question for you, because at the Mentor Studio, we're certainly big on mentors. You're a mentor. Who are some of your mentors?
Well, I would say my biggest one is my mother. I have an amazing mother. She is one of the most grounded people that I know. She's a strong woman and she's very logical. Like, I can go to her with anything and she always knows what to say. She always has the right answers. I'm very blessed in that way. However, I have followed a lot of the larger big names. I've always been a huge fan and follower of Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, the people. But I'm also very fortunate to have a community. So our Chief Systems community, my husband, Robert Raymond, the CEO, he is a brilliant business coach. So when it comes to business, finances, mindset, he's incredible. So I have him to lean on. I've worked with various coaches, been very fortunate. I think I've really been fortunate, but also I feel grateful, and I have surrounded myself with people who are supportive. I also like to surround myself with people who I know push me to the next level and challenge me. And so that was a process, wasn't always that way. Most of my life, I was a people pleaser, and I kind of lost my way there. I lost my identity. I lost my sense of where I want to be, who I want to be, and what I want in life. And that would be the third thing I would say is keep your goals close, have those goals clear, and keep close who you truly are, because your essence is what inspires others.
That's beautiful. I know you have a ton of more wisdom. If people want to reach out to you, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, I love new friends on social media. So you can totally find me on Facebook. Just look up Vanessa Raymond. I'm in Denver, Colorado. I'm on Instagram also, Vanessa Raymond. But you can also email me at vanessa@victoryinbiz.com.
I love that, Victory in Biz. Vanessa, thank you so much. So folks, don't forget your morning ritual, your power pose, be clear with your goals, and you get to ask, because someone's going to say something you don't like. You get to take that breath and pause. Do I take this personally or not? Thank you, Vanessa, for everything you shared today.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I hope your son feels better.
Thank
you, everyone, for listening and staying with us today.
We'll see you all next time here at the Mentor Studio.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, Jonathan.
We're honored that you invested time with us today at the Mentor Studio. Now, don't be greedy. Share this knowledge bomb with all your dope peeps on Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. Actually, we'll even pay you to do it. To get the deets, please check out thementorsstudio.com.